Jade Cargill fans, I've got another concerning update for you, and trust me, I hate saying this, but I think it needs to be discussed. We've all been wondering where Jade has been since her sudden disappearance from WWE programming. It's hard to believe it's been this long since we've seen her on our screens, especially after the buzz she created when she first arrived in WWE. She was on fire. But now, here we are, deep into 2025, and there's still no sign of her on TV. The question is, what really is going on with Jade Cargill? It's been an ongoing mystery, and every fan out there who's been following her career closely has been speculating, when will she return? Is she injured? Is she just out of the storyline for a while? Or could there be something else at play? Today, I'm diving deep into all the theories and breaking down everything we know so far. But buckle up, because what I'm about to share might shock you. Let's start with the basics. Jade Cargill's status in WWE right now is confusing, to say the least. We haven't seen her since late 2024. It's been months, and fans have been left in the dark about the real reason why. We know that she's no longer holding the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships alongside Bianca Belair. That title, which was once a symbol of her partnership with Bianca, has now been passed to Naomi. That alone is a huge red flag, because you don't just strip someone of a championship unless something serious is going on behind the scenes. So what's the deal? At first, WWE presented the situation as if it was just a temporary thing, a brief hiatus due to injury. But the strange thing is, the details around the injury were murky at best. There was no official word on what kind of injury she was dealing with, how it happened, or when exactly it occurred. Then, WWE went with a storyline about a mysterious attacker being responsible for Jade's absence. Nobody saw it coming, and honestly, it felt like a bit of a cop-out. But here's where the plot thickens. Reports from outlets like Winsider started surfacing, and they painted a completely different picture. According to their sources, Jade wasn't injured at all. In fact, they said this was all just part of a storyline. Now, this is where things get even more confusing. We have two conflicting stories, one saying Jade was attacked and is recovering from an injury, and another saying it's just part of the act. So what do we believe? As we move into 2025, Jade's status has only gotten more complicated. Major outlets like Fightful, Wrestling Observer, and WrestleVotes have all started reporting that Jade is still on WWE's internal roster list, meaning she's officially part of the company's plans. But what does that actually mean? There's no consensus on whether she's injured or just taking some time off to rest, but there's a huge gap in the information we're being given. One of the most intriguing pieces of news that came from these sources is that Jade has been spotted at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, where she's been training. Why is Jade at the Performance Center training like she's getting ready for a comeback, if she's supposedly injured? It doesn't make sense. When WWE talent are injured, they're usually kept off TV and rehabbed in private, not training in front of cameras, especially when there's still no clarity on the nature of the injury. What makes this even more interesting is that Jade reportedly went on vacation recently, but even then, she was still working out and staying in ring shape. Does this mean she's getting ready for an in-ring return, or is it just part of her rehab process? Let's pause for a second and look at the timing of all of this. The Royal Rumble has come and gone, and there was no Jade Cargill in sight. It's hard to believe, considering how much of a draw she could have been for that event. With the women's division having some of the most talented athletes in the world, Jade's absence left a huge void, and fans began wondering if she would be making her big return at Elimination Chamber, the event that is often a precursor to WrestleMania. As of late February, however, there are still no signs of Jade being booked for Elimination Chamber. This is the final stop before WrestleMania, and WWE tends to use this event to solidify matchups and prepare fans for what's coming. So why hasn't Jade been reintroduced to the storyline? We've seen other returning stars make their appearances, but Jade is nowhere to be found. Now I know what you're thinking, maybe she's just not ready. But let's take a moment to think about that. If Jade was truly ready to return, don't you think WWE would have at least teased her comeback by now? She would have been a perfect candidate for the Women's Elimination Chamber match, especially with the Women's World Championship and other high-profile spots up for grabs. It seems odd that WWE would have kept her out of the picture for this long, especially when the stakes are so high. So let's turn our attention to something else that's been on everyone's mind. Could Jade Cargill face Naomi at WrestleMania? It's an interesting thought, right? Let's break it down. Naomi has been with WWE for years, and although she's been somewhat underutilized recently, She has a massive fan following and a strong connection with Bianca Belair. For months, Naomi and Bianca were in a tag team that dominated the division, and they were even successful in capturing the women's tag team championships. But as we all know, Naomi has recently taken over Jade's spot, and that's where things get interesting. Naomi has been a key figure in the mystery attacker storyline, and there are strong hints that she might be the one behind Jade's absence. Could Naomi have attacked Jade to take her place in the title picture? It's certainly a theory that makes sense. The timing works, Naomi's been hinting at it, and fans have been clamoring for a one-on-one showdown between the two. But here's the catch. Do we really think this match is WrestleMania worthy? Sure, Naomi and Jade both have the talent to deliver a great match, but will WWE feel the same way? WrestleMania is all about the biggest, most high-stakes matches. And while this storyline is interesting, I'm not sure it has the star power needed to make it a marquee match. At the end of the day, this is still a relatively new feud with not a lot of build-up. Will WWE risk putting it on the biggest stage in the business? Now let's talk about WWE's booking process for WrestleMania. The one thing we know about the company is that WrestleMania's card is always carefully curated. In recent years, WWE has opted for fewer higher quality matches rather than cramming every talent onto the show. This means that while Jade and Naomi might have a compelling storyline, they may not be deemed worthy of a spot on the actual WrestleMania card. WrestleMania is a two-night event, and WWE likes to keep things tight, usually with only 10 to 12 matches spread across the 2 nights. That means there's only so much room for talent, and WWE has to prioritize the biggest names. With the focus on Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, and other top stars, it's entirely possible Jade and Naomi might be left off the card altogether. Instead, WWE could decide to showcase them in other ways, perhaps in a major tag match or another setting. So with all this uncertainty surrounding Jade's return, what does the future look like for her in WWE? Is she truly injured, or is this just a matter of waiting for the right moment? The truth is, we don't know. The lack of clarity from WWE is frustrating for fans, and while Jade has the potential to be a mega star in this company, it's hard to say when she'll finally get her chance to shine. There are so many questions left unanswered. Will she return at Elimination Chamber? Will she be part of WrestleMania? Or will we see her after the event? Fans have been hoping for her comeback for months, and while I'm optimistic about her future in WWE, I also have to be realistic. WWE could take things slow with her, and make sure they build her up the right way, or they could rush her return to make up for lost time. Whatever they choose, one thing is clear, Jade Cargill has the potential to be a massive star in WWE, and the company would be foolish not to utilize her to the fullest extent. There's a lot to consider when looking at her future. How will WWE handle her reintroduction to the fold? Will they go with a slow build, or will they throw her straight into the fire with a high-profile match at a major event like WrestleMania? Only time will tell, but it's safe to say that no matter what direction WWE takes, Jade is too big of a talent to be sidelined for much longer. As much as we talk about Jade's return, we also need to acknowledge the impact of her absence on WWE. When Jade Cargill came to WWE, she brought with her a new level of excitement and energy. She was a fresh face, a dominant force in the women's division, and a key part of the company's growth strategy moving forward. Her potential matchups with top stars like Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Rhea Ripley were all exciting prospects. But without her presence, WWE has had to pivot and adjust. It's not like the women's division has slowed down. Bianca Belair is still the face of the women's division, Charlotte Flair continues to be a top draw, and other superstars like Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch have been stepping up. But Jade represented something new, and WWE was building towards her being one of the major stars in the company. Her absence leaves a gap, especially when fans were so eager to see her in action on the grandest stage. Now the question is, what happens when Jade finally returns? Will she come back as the same force we saw earlier in her career, or will WWE take a different approach with her character? Will they have her reclaim the tag team championships with Bianca, or will they push her straight into singles action? One thing is for sure, Jade's return will have a massive ripple effect throughout the women's division, and it could shape the future of WWE's women's programming for years to come. If there's one thing WWE is known for, it's being able to create compelling stories. And let's be real, when Jade Cargill comes back, there will be no shortage of interesting storylines for her to get involved in. Whether it's a fresh feud with Naomi, a rivalry with Charlotte Flair, or an alliance with someone like Rhea Ripley, Jade has endless possibilities to make her mark. Imagine this: Jade returns, but not as a babyface. Instead, she's embraced her darker side, becoming more of a heel in her comeback. That could lead to an intense feud with someone like Bianca Belair, or even Becky Lynch, who thrives when going up against stars who have something to prove. WWE could also introduce Jade into a new angle entirely, where she aligns herself with some of the biggest heels in the company, creating a dominant faction that could dominate the women's division for years. Another intriguing possibility is Jade stepping into a storyline where she's vying for the WWE Women's Championship. After all, Jade has the size, the talent, and the star power to go after the top prize in the division. She could work her way into a high-stakes rivalry with Charlotte Flair, a feud that fans would be salivating for. The back and forth between these two would be electric, with their styles contrasting in a way that could produce some truly memorable matches. Speaking of the women's division, WWE's women's roster is stacked right now, and Jade Cargill is one of the key players in the future of that division. WWE has been investing a lot in its women's programming over the past few years, and we've seen stars like Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Asuka dominate. With stars like that leading the way, it's only natural for someone like Jade to want to make her presence felt. What does this mean for the future? The women's division is entering a new era, and Jade Cargill could be one of the catalysts for this shift. If she returns at full force, expect WWE to start building more storylines around the top-tier women's talent. Jade, with her unmatched athleticism, would make a perfect rival to Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and even Charlotte Flair. There's an undeniable hunger from fans to see more of these women interact on a bigger stage, and Jade could be the key to unlocking some of the most exciting rivalries we've ever seen in WWE. So where do we go from here? Jade Cargill's future in WWE is still very much up in the air, but one thing is for certain: when she returns, it's going to be a game changer. Whether it's at Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, or sometime after, WWE has a huge opportunity to make her return one of the most impactful moments in recent memory. Fans are desperate for her comeback, and while we may not know exactly when it'll happen, we do know this: Jade Cargill has what it takes to be one of the biggest stars in WWE. Her athleticism, charisma, and sheer presence make her a prime candidate to lead the charge in WWE's women's division. But the clock is ticking, and every day she remains on the sidelines, fans grow more impatient. What will her storyline be when she returns? Will she face Naomi, or will her first feud be with someone else entirely? Could WWE be setting up a long-term storyline that will involve her in some way with the WrestleMania build? All these questions remain unanswered for now, but one thing is certain: Jade Cargill's return is going to be a moment that changes everything for the WWE Women's Division. In the meantime, let's keep supporting her and stay hopeful for her return. WWE has a knack for turning things around, and when Jade Cargill does come back, it's going to be one of the biggest moments in WWE history.